Today we're going to compare which is the best microphone option for you if you're a self-shooter or a small production team between the Rode Wireless Go and the Rode VideoMic Pro Plus, which you can hear me on right now. What's up guys, my name's George. I'm a freelance video marketer based in the north of England. On this channel I share content all around tech, filmmaking and freelancing, so if that is your vibe then hit subscribe and welcome to the channel. Today we are comparing the Rode Wireless Go with the Rode VideoMic Pro Plus as to which is the best microphone option for you if you're a self-shooter or a very small production team. Rode microphones are consistently very good options, if not sometimes a little bit on the pricey side, for small production teams or self-shooters, as they allow a lot of flexibility and they're quite dynamic in the way they capture sound. The Rode VideoMic Pro Plus, which you are hearing me on right now, which is just up here out of frame at the moment, the Pro Plus comes in at the moment at roughly about £230. The Rode Wireless Go, on the other hand, is sort of in a world of its own, as it manages to deliver an amazing wireless audio signal while not being overly bulky or complex to use. It's literally just this. I've done a couple of videos on this before, as it's had some sort of audio hissing issues on my old Canon camera, but that's about using the camera's manual preamp, which we'll be going into again very shortly in this video. Right now the Rode Wireless Go is only about £150, but that's without an external lav mic, which tend to range from about £15 up to £25 depending on the quality, or you could go for something much more expensive, closer to sort of £100. Compare these two microphones. I've been out and about doing some field testing, which I'm going to be showing you very shortly, but first we need to change the manual preamp within our camera. In this case we're using the A7C. Both the Rode VideoMic Pro Plus and the Rode Wireless Go have their own built-in preamps. On the Rode VideoMic Pro Plus, this is displayed via the +20 or -10 decibel ranges on the back of the camera. You want to leave this at +20, as that allows the microphone to do all the preamp work itself before the audio signal goes into your camera. Because if you try to bump up the audio level in the camera, then essentially what you do is you are upping the audio signal when there actually isn't much of a signal there. It's sort of similar to upping your ISO beyond a logical point, because all you do is just introduce more audio noise. The same goes for the Rode Wireless Go. On the back you'll see a very simple audio level display with 3 different levels. I tend to leave this all the way up at the top unless I'm in a very loud environment or my subject tends to be quite shouty, then I might put it down to number 2, but you will need to balance this using the camera's manual preamp. Regardless of what DSLR or mirrorless camera you're using with your microphones, you will have manual audio levels, but in my case I'm using the Sony A7C, so I'll show you how to do that on Sony cameras. It's a very simple process. You just need to go into your audio recording level. I have mine in my function menu, and also I have as a custom button to one of my back buttons. If you don't have it set to one of these places, you can just go in and find it within your camera's menu. Then go into the audio level. It has quite a large range. You want to take it all the way down to 0 and then put it up one by one until you find a comfortable range where your audio levels are coming in healthy in the green, and they're not going to risk peaking at any point if you're unable to adjust your audio levels while you're shooting. The worst thing that could possibly happen is you're shooting a client and then they start to peak and peak and peak, and then when you get back to the audio in the edit, there's nothing you can do about it, and sometimes you can't reshoot what you just shot, so you do not want clipping redline audio. Do not do that. So I always err on the side of caution if I'm not in a controlled environment, just so that I can avoid that sort of thing from happening. With our manual audio levels now set, we can now get to shooting. But before I show you the outdoor real world tests, I would like to say thank you to you guys for sponsoring this video. Very recently I've had my first few sponsors on buymeacoffee.com. You can find the Buy Me a Coffee link in the description below. If you found any of my videos helpful and you've been watching the channel for a while, your support is always appreciated. If not, don't worry, you can always just subscribe and like this video, and that is a massive help. So anyway, onto our outdoor real world tests. We're going to go over to George out in a field somewhere. George, have we got him? Can you hear me? Hi, thanks Des George. Yes, I'm here out in Meanwood Park in Leeds. It's a lovely winter's crisp day. We're going to be doing the first little test with the Rode VideoMic Pro Plus. This is just a talking head situation. The mic is currently set to +20 decibels on the microphone, with then the camera's manual preamp set to 8. This is the Rode VideoMic Pro Plus, talking head scenario, quick little audio test for you. Try to ignore the chainsaw in the background. Here for a comparison, here's the Rode Wireless Go using the built-in mic on the wireless transmitter. This is using the Rode Wireless Go's built-in preamp of the max preamp. You just have the 3 little levels. This is all the way up. And then this is using the camera's manual preamp set at 6. As the Rode Wireless Go's preamp seems to be a bit more aggressive compared to the plus 20 on the Rode VideoMic Pro Plus. So this is audio from the Rode Wireless Go built-in mic using the manual preamp on the Sony A7C. One of the Rode Wireless Go's main advantages is the fact that you can step away from the camera, or you can have your subject step away from the camera, and it will not affect the audio signal. So for example, I could walk away right now. Hopefully I'm not going to experience too much wind because the wind muff is not on, but I could walk away behind this tree and you still know what I'm saying. I may just be sort of chatting complete nonsense, but at least you can understand what I'm saying and it doesn't affect the quality of the production. We don't lose any of the context when the subject comes back to the camera. So as you just saw with the Rode Wireless Go, if we walk away from the camera, we actually still maintain some audio. If we do this with a shotgun mic that's mounted on the camera, like literally it's here, then we sort of have this problem. I can talk to you, but as I'm walking away, you sort of just completely lose what I'm saying, and I just walked off into the blown out highlights in the background, and then I come back and I might be talking about something completely different and you have no idea what I was saying while I was gone that entire time. If you were interested in stepping up your Rode Wireless Go and improving it a little bit by plugging in another lav mic, for this example I'm going to use the Purple Panda lav mic. I'll drop a link in the description below. They have been discontinued on some websites. You can still find them around and about. In. And then we're now getting audio from this mic instead of the Wireless Go's built-in microphone. The audio levels seem to have stayed pretty similar as well. Let's get this mounted on here. And this way you can have a more dedicated microphone setup. This one here actually has a wind muff on it. The Rode Wireless Go does come with a wind muff, but they tend to pop off quite easily. So whenever I need to use one with a wind muff on, I tend to use this. And also if I'm ever shooting with a client, I tend to use the Purple Panda lavalier mic without the wind muff on. It's a much more discreet option than popping this on a client. Personally, I would not put something with such a large brand logo on a client. It just looks a bit unprofessional, a little underprepared. By using a dedicated lav mic attachment, then you have a much more discreet option and overall looks more professional. One of the main advantages for using a shotgun mic on your camera or using a boom overhead like the Rode VideoMic Pro Plus is the fact that it maintains a no wire situation. So whether you're shooting yourself or you're shooting a client or another subject, then you don't have any sort of wires going around the person. They can sometimes get in the way and be a little bit distracting, and they can sometimes feel like a little bit more pressure, particularly in client environments. Some people take really well to be mic'd up, some people do not. So having something that's a little more distance, they might feel a little bit more at ease. A boom sometimes can be a bit distracting as well, but I think when they know they've got something on their body, that can add a bit of pressure. So it's a very niche advantage, but I think overall it does work. And especially if you were to use the camera in a vlogging situation, having a mic on top of the camera is always a good thing. Then you equally have the option to boom your audio if the subject is staying still as well. This is our quick little walking and vlogging test using the Rode Wireless Go and its built-in microphone. There's currently no wind muff on here, so hopefully that's not going to pick up too much wind noise if there is any. And this is still quite a good option. I think if you're doing something like YouTube or sort of more informal tests using a camera like this and a microphone setup like this, then having this on display isn't a big problem. And a lot of people do it and it does sort of work. If you're sort of doing things that are a bit more behind the scenes where you don't really mind people seeing gear, then that's quite a good option. But I think if you're going to be using something where you want it to be a little bit more maybe realistic outside of vlogging, outside of BTS content, then I think having something like the Rode VideoMic Pro Plus is often an advantage because there's just no wires and there's no kit visible on the subject. Here is our quick little walking and vlogging test using the Rode VideoMic Pro Plus. Just having a little walk around and testing how the audio compares with the Rode Wireless Go. Excuse the sun blowing out my face in some situations. I'm around lots of trees, so the sun is pretty uneven. But here we are, we're shooting candid. Look how candid this is. I'm all blown out in the face. But yes, this is the audio from the Rode VideoMic Pro Plus. Personally, my favourite, but I'm interested to see how the audio from today's test compares. I'd like to thank other George for those comprehensive real-world tests. He did a really solid job. We like having him. So far, he's been a good presence. We like him on the team. So when you're looking at these two microphones and the audio quality, you might be able to notice a few different things. Obviously, the Rode Wireless Go is going to be always in one spot on the subject, but that can cause some problems. You do sometimes get a little bit of rustling noise, but you are always much closer to your subject. Whereas with the Rode VideoMic Pro, you are not always going to be perfectly close to your subject. If the distance changes between you and the subject, if it's not a situation like this, where we've got it on a boom, or if it's on top of your camera, it's going to be a little bit varied. I've shot many client videos before with the Rode Wireless Go as well as the Rode VideoMic Pro Plus. I tend to bring both with me to every job, and I can assess the situation in terms of what we're going to be doing and what the overall noise of the environment is like. Most recently, I used the Rode Wireless Go on a few gym videos as well as a video with Jack Whitehall down in London. Quite often, I'll be shooting a subject, following them around on a gimbal in loads of different situations. Specifically on the Jack Whitehall shoot, I was following him around for most of the day, just on a gimbal with the Rode Wireless Go on top while he was wearing the mic. The Rode Wireless Go gives you a lot of clearance over the top of any camera if you're putting it on a gimbal, especially with smaller camera bodies, but I have been able to fit it on top of larger camera bodies and still have enough clearance underneath the gimbal without any problems. The Rode VideoMic Pro Plus, on the other hand, does not give you quite the same flexibility. It is quite a bulky microphone with or without the windshield on. It does add a lot of height to the top of your camera, so depending on your gimbal and what sort of size camera you have, it's a bit hit or miss whether or not you'll be able to fit it on. I've never been able to fit it on and still have clearance under the gimbal, but that is something to bear in mind. In an ideal world, you are able to have both of these microphones, but I completely understand when you're first starting out building up a kit, you do not want to be spending hundreds and hundreds and hundreds just on sort of different versions of the same gear that does the same job. So I think it's very important to assess what your needs actually are. Don't listen to what anyone else says, just think about what your needs actually are, and then what microphone is going to best suit those needs for the time being until you can ultimately expand your kit and then have multiple options within your kit bag that will keep you sorted on no matter what job you're on. That is it for me today, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this video and you found it helpful. If you do feel like supporting the channel, check out the Buy Me a Coffee link in the description below. Again, these microphones will also be linked in the description below. Remember to like the video, drop any comments below if you have any questions whatsoever. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and until next time, I'm out.